So I'm going to take a moment to talk about the place of ritual in modern society. So I when I was a little boy, we had this like one copy of National Geographic or that history magazine. And in this really old copy was a dedication to the Meenakshi temple in southern India. And I was one of those like little kids that would walk around with the magazine that they like. I was one of those little gremlins that would like fold the magazine in half across the border and like walk around with my favorite page, on the outside cover. And I remember staring at the the towers, the Gopurungs, for like I don't know, like months. I don't know, however long it took for me to lose the magazine, because that's always how it goes. And so when I lost the magazine, I also lost the name because I couldn't remember Meenakshi Temple as, I don't even know how old I was. But I was fortunate enough to come upon a documentary about the Shwedagon Pagoda. And I am jealous of the love and the ritual surrounding the Shwedagon Pagoda and Meenakshi Temple. Because these are truly the sickness, the disease, the sore spots, the lacking in American culture is our lack of ritual. Associated with the Meenakshi Temple is what is called the Chittorai Festival. And it is a 14-day long procession celebrating the wedding of Meenakshi to Lord Shiva. And it is like ungodly beautiful. Like jealousy makes me angry above all else, and so it fills my heart with like just the most black vile tar of anger. But I was taken by one gentleman teacher who, as part of his offering to the procession, trains youth dancers to dance in the procession. And that is the ritual I talk about, because these kids practice for 2 months to dance in front of hundreds of thousands of people. And so me, just like you, are terrified to make a mistake in front of that many people. And so I could not imagine how many hours of practice these kids put into it. And that is what keeps them occupied. That is what keeps them out of trouble. That is what keeps them out of criminals and gang activity. And this is what we are lacking in America. American youth are useless. The average American can't do anything. The average American cannot sew. He cannot embroider. He cannot play an instrument. He cannot do carpentry. If he gets laid off of his job, he cannot do anything. And so this is where all of the mental health illness, the depression in American society, and most prevalent in our youth, is like stemming from. Because you come home from work, you come home from school, you come home from practice, and you sit on the couch, and then you stare at the wall for 3 hours, and then you go to bed, and you remember nothing. when I go to bed, I, just like you, replay like all of what happened in like the day in my head with my eyes closed. I'm repeating all of the people I saw. I'm repeating all the conversations I had, all the little vocal mistakes you make. You repeat in your head. And along with that, I repeat in my head all of the mistakes I make with my embroidery. All of the stitches going the wrong direction, I can see it. All of the stitches being too short, I can feel it. And when the average American gets laid off from his job, he becomes depressed because he can pull nothing out of himself. And that's why so many Americans, our egos, our ethics are tied up in our jobs. Because genuinely, most of us have nothing else in our lives. And that's so sad for us. Again, I grew up on like the south side of Chicago. I went to St. Columbanus School. It was not in a good area. Rife with gang activity, poverty every other block. And so at one point in the years between 5th and 8th grade, we had a gentleman come in to speak to my class. And he was one of those reformed gang members who, had joined the gang, gone to prison, done their time, and then joined like a youth service organization to try and, dissuade minors and slightly older kids away from like joining the gangs and making the same mistakes he made. And I have chewed over that presentation in my head for like a decade now, because I never agreed with the methodology of getting kids to join like sports organizations or to go to the YMCA as a replacement for these rituals. Because it's so easy to not play basketball. Like, it's so easy to not work out today. It's so easy to not go to the YMCA. But if you become embroiled, I don't know the word for it, into the ritual of like Shwedagon Pagoda, you have something to do that you cannot miss. Because worshippers at the Shwedagon Pagoda are called to care for the facility. You, as a worshipper, are called to sweep the grounds, to clean the statues, to repair and beautify the buildings. What is most like sophisticated, refined, and unbelievably mind-boggling about the Shwedagon Pagoda is how it is quite literally covered in gold. Like, the only word I can use to describe it is immaculate. Because of like how unbelievably beautiful all of that is. And to become a part of that takes dedication within your life. Because craftsmen who do this as volunteer work gilded the whole thing themselves. And this is so beautiful, so time-consuming, that it cannot be replicated, mimicked, and replaced by going to play basketball, by going to the YMCA, by participating in like community gardens, does not make up for that kind of beauty. And so as part of our like viewer engagement, what ritual do you want? Because I want that, but I don't know how to put that in here, and that's my problem. So help me out. And I know that like I'm not pulling this out of nowhere, because like I always love how people talk about how you can't how most people don't dream about like TVs or computers or your phone. And that's because of the lack of psychological impact that these sort of technologies and this consumption of that kind of media has on you. Like when you go to sleep, I never even remember the episode of TV I watched. Like I'll remember like I watched, that episode of Project Runway, but I don't remember who won. I just know I don't want to see it again because I've already seen it.